Well, this is a monumental day in the video game industry, without a doubt, because, well, if you didn't see it, I'm sure you have at this point, but Microsoft has announced an acquisition of Activision Blizzard for $68 billion, which would complete sometime around June 2023 if it goes through, but yeah, they're acquiring Activision for, large sum of money. So let's talk about the contents of this deal, what it means, and of course, well, more importantly, what it could also mean for Sony in the short, mid to long-term future. So that's actually, to be honest, about it. Was the press release that they will acquire Activision Blizzard by, if the deal completes, June 2023. We did learn a few things regarding the deal, though, which again it would be around 68 billion or nearly 70 billion dollars. Microsoft PR did confirm that Bobby Kotick will continue to serve as CEO of Activision Blizzard for the time being, and then once the deal closes, he will, I guess, stay on. And then once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to Phil Spencer, CEO of Microsoft of Gaming. In the meantime, Activision Blizzard will operate independently, though, and then until the deal closes, after which Microsoft will intend to offer as many of their games as possible through Xbox and PC Game Pass, both new and old, unsurprisingly. So let's actually go over the true scope of this deal, because Microsoft will now have the following game studios: Activision Shanghai, Beenox, Demonware, Digital Trends Entertainment, High Moon Studios, Infinity Ward, Raven Software, Sledgehammer Games, Solid State, Toys for Bob, Treyarch, Blizzard Entertainment, Vicarious Visions, and King Digital Entertainment. Now, to better put that into perspective, because the one thing that's more recognizable here are the IPs, they'll now have access to Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Candy Crush, StarCraft, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Hearthstone, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and a lot of other ones. So in terms of IP, they've probably now got upwards of 100 or something like that, but these are the most well-known right now and the most recognizable, like, Crash Bandicoot, which is so ironic to see that now being under the Microsoft Game Studios belt. But of course, the big one here is definitely Call of Duty, also Overwatch, Diablo, World of Warcraft. I mean, that's mainly a PC title, but still that's going to bolster their PC support, which they've been very supportive of the PC platform for a very long time. And also, as part of this announcement, we learned that Xbox Game Pass has reached 25 million subscribers. So that's obviously pretty nuts. I guess the one thing we can say, perhaps in the moment right now, is that this puts a lot of context to Phil Spencer's not quite answer or response, or what he said when it came to Activision Blizzard's sexual misconduct allegations, where he made a comment somewhat recently about how they're still looking at that and evaluating it, but they're not doing anything, or they're not taking action right in this moment. Well, it seems like conversations were probably happening behind the scenes for who knows how long, and then all those allegations came out. And at least right now, because I'm filming this, maybe an hour and a half after this press release came out, so there's not too much information regarding what will this everything else that this deal will enclose, or what this is really going to mean. But at least the one thing we got in this moment was that Bobby Kotick will stay on, which is disappointing. You would hope that under Microsoft they would clean house and really do something about all the terrible things that have been going on at Activision for a long time, but that would still be something where the deal wouldn't close until June 2023. So they are going to remain independent for the time being, and they'll presumably continue doing what they've been doing, which is just releasing games everywhere. Whatever projects that they have on slate, those are going to release no problem, as they normally would. But now let's try and muster up some kind of conversation surrounding what this might mean for Sony, which, again, this just happened like an hour and a half ago, so I'm already seeing some pretty wild takes going on out there. Probably would be better to let the dust settle a little bit, but at least I think we can comfortably say right now, this is not very good for Sony. When we compare it to the Bethesda acquisition, that was major news at the time, a big third-party publisher, which, after that has been, said and done, the deal's completed. We've had Microsoft and Bethesda comment on it and talk about it a lot, right? So we've, gotten our answers about what they're planning on doing with that software. It's going to go exclusive all day, every day. They want to ship it, wherever Game Pass is available. That's Microsoft kind of hinting or forcing Sony's hand of like, hey, we'll ship it there if you do Game Pass, but, back then we were talking about how, and my gut reaction for that story was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. Obviously they're very committed to staying in this business, and that's, their way of doing it. Again, people will complain about how they're doing it, but that's one way, and they have the capital to go about doing it that way. But besides that point, they did it, and I thought, wow, that's pretty nuts. Some of these IP, they're a big third-party publisher. Some of these IP are very well known. I'm like, oh, well, I thought, oh, so do it on Game Pass, and then you sell it on PlayStation. You have your cake and eat it too. Now, that's not really going to happen. They are forcing Sony's hand in some way, or at the very least, they want to really recapture some market share. You can't really blame them. They're a business. So that happened, and Bethesda is a big deal, but this is a different type of, this is a magnitude much higher. Call of Duty is the big, the big franchise here that's really going to hurt PlayStation in a monumental way, judging from what they did with Bethesda. We can probably say right now this franchise, well, if the deal goes through June 2023, if we know what Microsoft is planning on doing, that means this current calendar year will be the last Call of Duty on PlayStation. And that's kind of wild to think about because it sells mostly on PlayStation. Sony's had that market share for a long time now, actually, and that's why they also secured that marketing deal beginning with the PlayStation 4 generation. And so out of all those IP, we can laugh at Microsoft has Crash Bandicoot now, but you could have always made the case of well, Activision never really did much with it anyway, outside of Crash 4, which actually did quite well. I always preferred Spyro more, and I wanted an original Spyro, but still that was kind of sitting there doing nothing outside of Skylanders. But we can laugh about that. Obviously Warcraft, that's more of a PC thing. That's not going to make any difference towards PlayStation. Overwatch, sure. Diablo, sure. That's been shipping on console. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, yes, big franchise. Call of Duty is the big one here, and that is absolutely going to hurt PlayStation in a way where you're going to see a lot of consumers either now just opt to buy, an Xbox next to their PlayStation 5, or for a lot of consumers right now where they don't have either console because they're very hard to buy right now. That sort of seals the deal for what they're going to pick moving forward, assuming that they are going to make that game truly exclusive, which they're going to have a lot of interesting interviews coming up within the next few months to a year or so, right, of Phil Spencer now having to answer for this acquisition, where he's going to be asked about, well, you said this when it comes to services and service-based games, like, for example, Elder Scrolls Online. We know that's continuing support on PlayStation. Minecraft they consider as a service-based title, which, way back when that acquisition happened, people were really nervous, but sure enough, that continued to release on PlayStation, no problem. So for Call of Duty, where it's like, well, what about the yearly franchised releases, or, Warzone, which that is absolutely service-based. What are they going to do there? I mean, surely that will be supported, at least in the short term. Are they just going to drop the support of that game completely? It's just, there's a lot of unknowns here, but at least when it comes to yearly released Call of Duty games, those are probably going to stop. Again, this deal's so much larger. Yeah, Sony's been doing a lot of acquisitions, but they're doing it within their range of capital and how they go about acquisitions. This has always been the other take I've been trying to, or the one piece of, the one angle of it I've been trying to, convey to people is that right now, we can't humor the idea that Sony's going to buy a big publisher or a well-known developer that's always, shipped everywhere, or, Sony doesn't hunt IP, they hunt talent. That's how they've always gone about doing it. They always acquire studios that they've worked with for a long time, and there's a documented history there, and they're comfortable with it. They just don't really they don't approach it the way Microsoft's been doing it, and more so they just don't really have the kind of capital, or at least they have a lot of money. I mean, there's no disputing that. They can certainly spend if they want to, but that still puts them in a more dangerous position when it comes to taking on a lot of debt or spending all the capital that Sony, that Sony has versus Microsoft, where they can expend that kind of cash and be okay about it. Or they don't really feel it quite like how Sony would feel it. So I'm not going to sit here and say PlayStation's doomed, right? PlayStation's dead. It's over. We're done. Sign out. It's just clearly, you don't have to like Call of Duty. You don't have to like Activision. You don't have to like their products. But undeniably, this is categorically bad news for PlayStation's bottom line. And yes, Sony's been funding a lot of multiplayer projects because they've never really been known for that to begin with. So sure, they've got something in the pipeline to perhaps answer that, but you have to remember that every publisher and developer has been chasing the Call of Duty dollar for a long time. We're talking 10-something years, and nobody's been able to replicate it. So despite Vanguard seeing a recent, year-over-year sales decline, it's still a driving force when it comes to being the premier, multiplayer title. So Sony will, without a doubt, have to do something. We're not saying, another publisher, because again, that's going to put them in a very tight spot financially to even go about doing that, and it's not necessarily how they've ever done it to begin with, but they are in a very tight, awkward position now if they weren't before. And this is why I made like a video 2-3 years ago or something saying, don't count Microsoft out just yet. Sony should absolutely be afraid of Microsoft in a number of respects, because they are committed to staying in this business. If this doesn't prove it, I don't really know what does. Whether that's, forcing Sony's hand to finally allow Game Pass, or Sony commits to, what they've been doing and they start being more geared towards, these premium first-party experiences. The thing is, Microsoft's making a really compelling case when it comes to Game Pass. I don't know why people argue about this either. It's such a great deal. You don't even have to necessarily worry about, what's going on their end. If they're, loss leading, they're loss leading, but that's to your benefit where you get all these games day one. It's really hard to argue against it, right? So again, I'm not going to sit here and say PlayStation's dead, but without a doubt, they've got a problem on their hands, big time. It's interesting. I kind of can't wait to see where this goes. This is insane news. So yeah, definitely something where the dust has to settle, but whoa, what a big deal. I can't wait to see the comments on this one. I'll be reading a lot of stuff today, but wow, that's insane. Oh, I should probably also mention, when it comes to antitrust, right? That's another thing that people are obviously talking about right now. I am not going to try and act like a legal expert right now, because that's, I think, probably what most people are doing right now, is that they're arguing that Microsoft's, becoming a monopoly, or that this goes, the Department of Justice is going to have a problem with this, or how many hoops they have to jump through to get this deal to close, and maybe the deal won't close. I'm not going to act like a legal expert, but there's nothing. I mean, my gut reaction was, I don't see how this doesn't close. I mean, it's probably going to close. So at least when it comes to that conversation, I mean, I'm sure people will argue about it all day, but I don't see why this doesn't close. We still have a lot of other, well, not a lot of other, but we have, there's still EA, Ubisoft, Take-Two. There's not too many massive third-party publishers out there. Square, Konami, there's a handful left, but they're still out there. It's just consolidation is very much happening, and I can't wait to see where this goes. It is crazy. So by all means, have some fun in the comments. I'm sure that will be interesting to watch. Thank you so much for joining me in this wild conversation. If you haven't just yet, subscribe for the best PlayStation news, reviews, and updates that are here on YouTube. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mystic Ryan, and that is it. I will see you all in my next video. You take it easy.